Hello, welcome to my speech. I'd like you all to know that washing your hands can prevent many dangerous communicable diseases like necrotizing fasciitis, which is human flesh-eating disease, and others like our current coronavirus or COVID-19. With that being said, let's dive into this topic. Washing your hands properly and frequently is one of the best hygiene habits of this time. That's because it's so easy, it's so cost effective, and it's so simple. It's really not hard to do, it's really not hard to understand, and it's relatively cost effective as well. The main points of my speech are that proper hand washing can prevent many dangerous communicable diseases. We're going to talk about what the best way to wash your hands are and kind of debunk some common misconceptions, as well as that without proper hand hygiene, you are putting yourself and others at an increased risk for diseases. Let's dive into this topic. Frequent and proper hand washing can help you stay healthy. It can also help to prevent the spread of diseases like influenza, colds, and coronavirus. According to the CDC article, When and How to Wash Your Hands, published in 2020, germs can spread when touching your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and when you touch surfaces without washed hands. And these germs that you've picked up or that you've touched can enter your body when you touch your hands, face, such and so on, and can enter your body when you're preparing and eating food. Basically, if you blow your nose, cough, sneeze, or do whatever into your hand and then touch something without washing, you are spreading germs, you're spreading diseases essentially. Without proper hand hygiene, you are more susceptible to diarrheal and respiratory illnesses. A quote from the article, from the Center of Disease Control, Show Me the Science, Why Wash Your Hands, published in 2018. Proper hand hygiene reduces the amount of people who get sick with diarrhea by about 23 to 40%. It can reduce diarrheal illnesses with people with weakened immune systems by 58%, and reduces respiratory illnesses like colds in the general population by 16 to 21%, as well as it reduces absenteeism due to gastrointestinal illnesses in school children by 29 to 57%. This shows you that proper hand washing can not only prevent diseases, it can also help your community in preventing diseases, and this is significant. These numbers are pretty large. This is a significant reduction in risk of these diseases. Now that we understand the benefits and the effects of washing our hands and the reasons to do so, let's discuss the best hand washing and hand hygiene methods and talk about some common misconceptions. There are numerous methods of washing or sanitizing your hands. Hand sanitizer, washing with soap and water. Some people believe just rinsing with water. And not all of these are as effective or equally as effective. According to the article When and How to Wash Your Hands by the Center of Disease Control, published in 2020, it's important to wash your hands before eating, before preparing food, before caring for a sick or elderly person, before treating a wound or an injury. It's also very important to wash your hands after preparing food, after using the restroom, after you cough or you sneeze or blow your nose, after you handle garbage, or after you handle animals or animal droppings and such and so on. The CDC recommends that the best way to wash your hands, the best method is to rinse your hands with water, to wash them thoroughly, to wet them, to lather them with water, scrub for at least 20 seconds minimum, to rinse them, and then to dry them on either a disposable paper towel or a towel if handy. Some myths about hand washing. According to the article 5 Myths About Hand Washing by Marty Munson, published in 2018, the water temperature does not matter at all. Some people believe that hot water is much more effective than cold water. I actually, before preparing for this speech, believed that as well, because I just thought that the hotter the water, maybe the more bacteria were either killed off or fell off or whatever. But it really doesn't matter. Data from that showed that both the same amount of germs or the lack of germs was present in hot and cold water after washing. Another misconception is that air dryers are more sanitary than disposable paper towels or towels. And this can be true if the towel is something used often, but they're not more sanitary than disposable paper towels. In fact, air dryers will typically stir up germs and blow them around onto your hands, and that's data from the Why Wash Your Hands article from the Center of Disease Control. More data from that article also shows that hand sanitizers lead to bacterial resistance. So some people believe that if you just kind of quickly hit your hands with some hand sanitizer, that all the germs are totally gone, or 99.9% of the germs are gone. That may be true, but that 0.1% that isn't gone, that's going to replicate and spread, and that might actually lead to bacterial resistance from the hand sanitizer. So basically, if you only use hand sanitizer, over time it's becoming less and less effective because the bacteria are becoming resistant to it. Now finally, let's examine some potential risks of improper hand washing, not washing, or just having general poor hand hygiene. Not washing your hands and not having good hand hygiene is very dangerous and very risky, and you are putting not only yourself but others at risk. There is a significant increased risk of contracting respiratory illnesses and diarrheal illnesses. These respiratory illnesses can include things like common cold and such, and significant risk of higher risk of contamination, contaminating yourself or contaminating other surfaces around you. According to the article from the Center of Disease Control, Why Wash Your Hands, published in 2018, people touch their eyes, their nose, their mouth, their face without noticing. And when you don't notice it, and when you do it all the time and frequently, that's how the germs can enter your body, is because you're touching your face all the time and you're not even noticing, and you might not have paid attention to when the last time that you washed your hands were, or how clean your hands are, because you're just not really paying attention, and oops, I accidentally touched my face after I touched this thing and I didn't wash. Data shows that not washing can lead to a 31% higher risk of diarrheal illnesses and an 18.5% higher risk of respiratory illnesses and colds. Additionally, data from the Why Wash Your Hands show that 1.8 million school children under 5 die every year from diarrheal diseases and pneumonia. This can easily be prevented by just simply washing your hands, or them washing their hands more often as well. And these are really sad figures, especially when knowing that the preventative method could be so easy. According to the article, an institution-based assessment of students' hand-washing behavior by Grace Tiuma in 2019, there needs to be an educational intervention to raise awareness of the importance of hand hygiene and to increase hand washing among university students. With that being said, I really bet that you would all like to go wash your hands right about now. This does wrap up the educational portion of my speech. I'd like you all to keep in mind that proper hand hygiene can keep yourself safe and healthy, as well as people that you are close to or come in contact to. The best way to wash your hands is with soap and water for 20 seconds, or to the tune of Happy Birthday, and that's according to the CDC. And without proper hand hygiene, you are putting yourself and others at great risks. Risks of diarrheal illnesses, respiratory illnesses, even our novel coronavirus that we're dealing with in the United States right now. Without proper hand hygiene, you are putting yourself and other people at much risk. So just for today, just one thing I would like to ask everyone to do. I would like to ask you to pay attention to how often you wash your hands, and how often you touch your face, and how much other people do the same. And you will be shocked to notice, once you start noticing and picking up on how often you touch something and how often you wash your hands, and then how often you touch your face without even noticing, just wiping your mouth or wiping your nose or just rubbing your eye. And then pay attention to the people around you, how often they're touching their face and just not even noticing, touching their face and then touching the table or touching a desk or a pen or something. And I bet that you will be enlightened by that experience. I'd like to thank you all very much for listening to my speech. Now go wash your hands.